So in this video, I'd like to compare the 4 different belt items that are going to just give you raw damage. Some will be better in multi-target and some better in single target. We're going to include the new Prototype Realm Engine. First of all, I'm going to cover each of the 4 belt items and where they came from, and then compare them mathematically with some tables, exactly what kind of damage they're doing versus each other in both single target and multi-target. There should be timestamps on the play bar below. So let's move first to the Prototype Realm Engine, which they are selling for over 2,000 Zen in this Bridge Burner pack. However, keep in mind that its main benefit is providing extra currency within the new zone, and so you'll use it primarily for that. But it does have a damaging effect. When you actually read what it should be able to do, it strikes your enemy with 3 rapid bursts of abyssal magic, dealing damage with each blast. When we check on a dummy, you can see it works just like this. Yeah, just 3 bursts and that's it. It's not AoE, it's purely single target. When you have enemies even this close to each other, you can see it only ever hit one of them. A special thank you to Coyote for giving this one to me on the previous server so I can test it. Now this Realm Engine belt item has a 30-second cooldown. So yeah, you can use it twice per minute for some added single target damage against your target. It has a very smooth animation as well. You click it and it immediately happens. Your character doesn't go ahead and do anything really, so you don't have to like sit there for 1 second casting something like the Dragonfire, Doohickey, or even worse, the Hawk. Now currently this Proto Realm Engine doesn't exactly give you 15% to all the sources of the Demon Web Pit's currency. It won't affect whatsoever the resiliency hunt modifier, and that's intended. And right now it's bugged to only give 10% and not 15% to your quests. And it's like that with weekly quests, and it's like that with completing heroic encounters. And very nicely, when you complete the Demon Web Pit's dungeon, when you obtain that favor from the chests, it will also be multiplied if you have this equipped. But again, only by 10%, as it's still bugged. Maybe they'll fix it in the next patch. But when it was first released, it gave no benefit. It was at 0%. Yeah, and they were still having it on the Zen market. But we move to like the Doohickey. This has an AoE effect, unlike the Proto Realm Engine, but it has less magnitude. So it will hit multiple enemies. You can see if they're grouped up like that, I hit the middle one with the Doohickey, it will hit both of them either side. So that's very nice, but it's only 125 magnitude. It does have a CC effect though. It can paralyze your enemy, but only on a 20% chance. This Wondrous Doohickey comes from the Gaunt event. You can look it up. You'll basically craft these and you can get them upgraded through that. I believe you can also purchase them from the auction house. You can indeed. Somebody selling it for 88,000. Not bad of a deal compared to the others. Then you have the Neverwintan Hawk, which has 630 magnitude. Quite a big increase from the 150 with the Proto Realm Engine, 125 with the Doohickey. However, it is purely single target. You will only be damaging one enemy. You can see you cast it there, your Hawk dives in and deals some damage. 630 magnitude is pretty close to, yeah, some of your single target encounter powers. So it's quite a big hit. 30-second cooldown though, like everything else. The Hawk originally came from the Echoes of Prophecy Battle Pass, where you'd obtain it for free. Then we have the Dragonfire, which yeah, is also a Battle Pass premium item. Right now not available. And this has the ability of dealing a burst of fire damage and then a damage over time effect. And this can be quite powerful depending on what enemy you use it against. A normal enemy you can see will do the damage and then they'll just burn for that 10 seconds. And it won't be that impressive amount of damage. However, when you go against a boss, an enemy which is 5 pips or higher, or just has a big massive hit point bar above your screen, you can see that it deals significantly more damage on the dot. Over 72,000 per hit, just on the burn effect, versus what you saw in the training room, only 12,000. And we can cast it against this dummy who's only got like 2 pips, and you can see that the dot effect is only like 9,500. So it's a matter of the difficulty level of the enemy, like what challenge rating they're set at. For some reason, the training boss dummy is not considered a boss in some ways, and at least considering the Dragonfire. So ultimately, that's all 4 of the damage belt items. Some others to note would be these bells that increase your companion's damage with this one, recharge speed, and immunity. However, your companion at best is only going to deal like 20% of your damage. That is at best. And so increasing its damage by 20% for 30 seconds with then a 2-minute cooldown is only going to result in less than 1% overall damage gain to your collective damage. So it's not worth it at all compared to one of these belt items, which can do like 2 to 6% of your additional damage. And keep in mind that you can only have one of these damage items equipped at a time. Like I cannot have the Dragonfire plus the Proto Realm engine or the Doohickey or the Hawk. So only one of those. But I could have like a bell in addition, or I could have my spider totem there or forger's blocks. And I cannot have like a Wondrous Dragon here as well as the Realm engine. You can see it's like one of these 5 belt items. But let's compare each of them mathematically then based on how much they hit for in both single target and multi-target. Well, in single target we end up with this. The Dragonfire coming out on top against a boss. Yeah, over 850,000 damage on my setup. This is my setup with these stats and this gear, but they will vary respectively with each other if your stats are higher or lower, so the ranking should still stay the same. You can see the Hawk followed in second place, nearly 400,000 damage, then the Realm engine at only 260,000, Dragonfire not against a boss, so just regular enemies, only 215,000, and the Doohickey at bottom 78,000. Keep in mind of what actually affects them. You can see like the Dragonfire, it's not going to benefit from flank damage, it's not going to get deflected, and the damage buffs will not affect it, except for the first hit. For the dot damage, which is the majority of its damage, those 3 things do not affect it. But nonetheless, it still deals a ton of damage. And it is affected by debuffs, so you would want to use it during an artifact call, yeah, to boost its damage massively. The Hawk, on the other hand, with the Realm engine as well, is affected by all of those benefits and negatives. You don't want really to be affected by deflects. And the Doohickey is the same as that as well. So we go to multi-target damage. Which of the 4 do you want to be using? Well, this is what we have. Again, the Dragonfire on top. Now the way I tested this was by summoning these 6 dummies right here. They're relatively close together and there's 6 of them. So we got like our Dragonfire and we just put it down the middle right here. No combat advantage, and yeah, it'll burn all 6 of the dummies, resulting in, yeah, over 1 million damage if it critically hits and doesn't get deflected on that initial hit. And that dot not being affected by combat advantage is actually a benefit right here, because then you don't have to worry so much about positioning when you use it. Whereas these other belt items will, yeah, suffer with their damage when you don't make them benefit from combat advantage. These stats right here are without combat advantage, without flanking. So yeah, you'd have the Doohickey at like 200,000, 206,000. That is hitting 5 targets. The Doohickey can only hit 5 of those enemies because the way its area is like a radius, and yeah, I'm giving it the most favorable scenario by hitting this guy in the middle, but it'll only hit, you can see, 5 of them. It will not hit all 6 of them. So it results only in 206,000 damage, followed by the Hawk 194,000. That is only against 1 target there. And then the Realm engine also only against 1 target. This is without combat advantage. So yeah, not looking too great there with the other belt items versus the Dragonfire. It just comes out on top 100%. Now some people have brought up the argument that, oh, the Hawk is ranged, right? You can use it from really far away. Yeah, I can be all the way over here. So wouldn't that be more favorable for a ranged DPS? Yeah, sure, but what kind of range DPS is actually going to keep that far away from the fight? You lose all your team buffs. A lot of the team buffs have only a radius of like 50 feet or maybe 30 feet. And so you want to be close to your team. Some fights, yeah, you'll want to be spread out a bit, and it's not going to be much trouble using the Dragonfire. You don't have to be that close to actually hit with it. Like, we go ahead and use it here. We can hit this guy from over here. There you go. He starts burning. We even hit the guy behind him. So that range is not bad at all. On top of that, in boss fights, the damage difference is just massive. The only way I would see the Hawk that would outdo the Dragonfire is when you want instant damage. So you want to press the button and you want it to do all the damage. That would be in like a super burst fight. So maybe Tower of the Mad Mage, where you have a high damage group and you're trying to greed for the Pain Giver. You would use the Hawk during that early call to, instantly do the damage. You probably only have 5 seconds before the boss is gone again, so Dragonfire would fall behind in that regard. But that's about it for all 4 of those belt items. The prototype realm engine is very underwhelming. Yes, its 15% effect, which is currently only 10%, will affect your quests in the Demon Web Pits campaign, so it will be nice to get that extra currency for getting your explorer charts, getting these rewards. I don't think it's as important as the one for Mensa Branson. Mensa Branson was particularly hard to get the currency because you were limited to heroic encounters. Demon Web Pits, you can do hunts with the modifier of resilience in order to get more of that currency pretty quickly. Unfortunately, the prototype realm engine does not affect that, and that's intended. You can also just run the dungeon. You can run the advanced Demon Web Pits or the master Demon Web Pits and get currency from the chests in the end. Versus, again, Mensa Branson, where Xemna's Reliquary Trial was not dropping any currency. So I do not see it as a big deal to get this belt item at all. Even if you don't have the Hawk or the Dragonfire, I don't really think it's worth it. It's barely going to give you any damage competitively, maybe 2%. If 2400 Zen is 2% damage for you, by all means go for it. But I personally would hold out on that Zen, potentially being able to get the Dragonfire down the line or the Hawk. We never know as well, this interaction where the Dragonfire does more damage to bosses than it kind of really should. It may get fixed, and that would place, yes, the Dragonfire a good bit more behind. You can see in single target, it would even be behind the realm engine. So hopefully this has been somewhat insightful to you guys, just covering those damage belt items and which ones you should be using. Massive thank you again to all these channel members for helping me keep my channel going, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.